This program is brought to you by the City of Oceanside. The following program does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of the City of Oceanside, its elected officials, KOCT, its board of directors, or staff. This program is underwritten in part by Waste Management of North County in Oceanside. We are dedicated to serving customers and community as a safe, comprehensive service provider, a good corporate citizen, and a responsible environmental steward. Think green. Think Waste Management.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of EC Spectrum, a talk show produced by the video production class of El Camino High School in collaboration with the kind and patient staff of KOCT. I'm Valerie Cortez and this is my co-host William Doan.
Valerie and I are participating in a 15-year tradition here at KOCT, where students from both of Oceanside's high schools shadow crew members before putting on their own talk show. For today's show, we pay homage to individuals on a quest to provide service to others, share their talent with the world, or be the best version of themselves that they can be.
We've chosen today's guests because they had a vision, they took risks, and they made a difference. In today's show, we will first greet El Camino's new principal, Ms. Frazier, whose quest includes providing the best opportunities for students while promoting a climate that supports everyone.
Next, we meet Hailey Wild, a senior on campus who is a songwriter and singer with a passion for music.
Following that, we meet an all-around athlete, Destiny Moedano, a record-breaking athlete who scorched soccer fields while trailblazing her way to college.
And finally, we meet Kenda Rauscher of the Mental Health Initiative, a group whose quest is to advocate for emotional services for our students.
All that on today's episode of EC Spectrum. But first, let's welcome El Camino's principal, Ms. Frazier. Thank you for joining us today.
First of all, I want to welcome you to El Camino. First question is, how has your transition been to El Camino so far?
The transition to El Camino so far has been excellent. I find that the people at El Camino are very open and welcoming. The students come up and greet me. So I think it's been a good transition. I can't say that it was easy all the time because there's a lot going on at El Camino. El Camino is a big campus, but the transition has gone extremely well. I'm grateful to be at El Camino.
So we know that you used to attend Oceanside High School.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I did go to school here in Oceanside. I mean, we moved here because my father was in the military. So I started off at North Terrace, and I also attended Santa Margarita, Jefferson Middle School, Lincoln Middle School, and ended up graduating as a salutatorian from Oceanside High School. So I have been in Oceanside a long time and actually started my teaching career at Oceanside High School as a math teacher.
What made you want to become a teacher or an administrator in the first place?
Well, actually, I've wanted to be a teacher since I was little, probably since about 5 when my sisters and I played, house. And I would tell them, if we play house, then I have to play school, and of course, I'm going to be the teacher. So I think from a young age, I've always wanted to become a teacher, and I've loved math, so that's how I became a math teacher. But on the other hand, an administrator, now that's not something that I actually ever wanted to go into. But now that I've been doing it for several years, I love the job. I really just love being able to help, so many people across the entire school. So it's great.
You've been a great administrator. So what are your goals for El Camino? What would you like to see on campus and happen there?
One of the biggest things that I want to make sure of is that when every student from El Camino graduates, that they are prepared to go out into the workforce and be successful. We've heard over the years that students graduate and that they have limited reading skills or that they don't have those good people skills when they go in for interview. And so we really want to make sure through our career technical education or our CTE courses that students have those skills that are necessary. They know how to look someone in the eye. They know how to have a firm handshake. And they can answer the questions that they're being asked in the interviews with strong, confident answers. So really making sure that when they leave us, they have a chance to go out and compete in the world.
Now, earlier you mentioned that, you were an administrator and that you initially did not want to be an administrator. But now that you are one, what is it like being an administrator? What's the day like? What do you do?
The day starts off early. I actually feel like there are days that I need a pair of roller skates because, you know, there's so much that goes on. As an administrator, it's kind of like solving a different puzzle every single day. There are so many different things that come at you, not just the education for the students in the class, but you also have parents that might come in because they're concerned about something. You'll have community members that come in. You have industry partners, they want to come in and partner with you. So you have to make time for all of that, and then occasionally there's a crisis that may happen, and so you're trying to solve this crisis without it becoming a big issue on campus. So there are so many things that go on during the day, and you do it all with a smile, and you just make sure everybody knows that you're calm, cool, and collected.
Well, thank you for joining us today. El Camino is fortunate to have you leading us. EC Spectrum will be right back after this message.
Welcome back to EC Spectrum. Today's episode focuses on individuals on a quest to serve others with their talents and make their world a better place. Senior Hailey Wild does just that with her music. Welcome, Hailey.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, Hailey. So we know that one of your favorite instruments is a piano. What was the first song that you heard on there that made you fall in love with the instrument?
Probably Someone Like You. It's like the first song I ever learned how to play. Originally, I didn't even want to play piano. I just wanted to be a singer. And then I heard that song. I loved Adele. So I was like, okay, I got to learn this song. Then I was taught that song, and ever since then, just love the piano. It's my favorite by far.
And it's interesting that that the piano is one of your favorite instruments. One of your favorite instruments. We have a clip of you here at this year's EC Talent Show, and you're playing one of your original pieces, which is Love Your Enemies, and we have that clip right here, right now.
'Cause we need a change. Something's gotta give. Love will be the light to illuminate everything. So love your enemies. Don't be blind. And then maybe we can put down your weapons. 'Cause we need a change. Something.
Wasn't that such an amazing clip?
That was really good, Hailey.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have to ask something that that I think every artist probably has an answer to, but you know, what was like the defining moment when you realized you wanted to do this as a career?
I'm not really sure. Actually, when I was younger, I always had a passion for music. I always loved singing, but I wanted to be an astronaut.
Really?
And then I would always get car sick, and then later I got sick in planes, and then later I got sick on boats. So I think it's a good choice that I became a musician instead of an astronaut. I'd say that probably the defining moment was around freshman year. End of freshman year, summer, I got like my first gig at the Sunset Market, and that really inspired me to keep going. I love being in front of, you know, a bunch of people, sharing my music with them.
So you found this passion as a child, right?
Yes, yes.
What training have you had?
When I was 7, I started taking singing lessons, and it was for classical music mostly, so opera. That's what my grandparents wanted me to go into. It wasn't my favorite, but it definitely helped me, gave me a solid foundation to work from. Then when I was 10, I started taking piano lessons, and I did that until I was 14.
I just gotta ask, earlier you said that originally you wanted to be an astronaut. Why an astronaut in the first place?
I'm not really sure now looking back at it, but I really just loved space. I had like tons of books about like astrology and the stars. I still know like some facts about space and stuff off the top of my head. So it just was my passion at the time.
So this is a really interesting question I have for you. So if you were able to like have a duet with any famous person, who do you think you would choose?
Probably Lana Del Rey. I love her. She's like one of my biggest inspirations, and I love her music. She has like such a great look too. She like is so vintage. It definitely inspires me a lot. So I'd say doing a duet with her would be amazing to me.
Now, you've said that you've gone on to gigs and you've performed at Sunset Market before. Are you considering on going more like national, like going on to shows like American Idol or The Voice to get more recognition?
I've actually auditioned for American Idol. I didn't get in, and I've auditioned for The Voice twice, and each time I didn't make it. But also, I'm going to keep doing that because I'm going to take every opportunity I get. But I don't think that's the only way you can be heard in America and in the world through those shows.
So I have one last question for you. For underclassmen that you share your passion with, what advice would you give them?
Oh, like I just said, take every opportunity you get because you don't know what's going to come out of it. And just always, always be working on your passion, on your craft. Always be writing if you're a songwriter. Always be singing. Take lessons if you can. I know not everybody can afford them, but if you can just get any help, that's good, and that'll help you.
Thank you for that, Hailey.
You're welcome.
I just want to say thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me on.
I'll be watching the billboard for your name.
Thank you.
EC Spectrum continues right after this message. Welcome back to EC Spectrum. We have with us Destiny Moedano, a record-breaking athlete who scorched soccer fields while trailblazing her way to college.
First of all, welcome, Destiny. First of all, what got you interested into soccer in the first place?
When I was 5, my parents just threw me into like any sport they could. And then on the soccer field, I was just like picking flowers and like showing my mom. She was like, go run, go run. But then by the age of like 10, I realized it was actually a sport that I would like want to do. And then by like 14 is when I realized like I love this sport and I had to do it.
So since you've been playing soccer for so long, what's been your most memorable moment?
Oh, there's just so many. Like, some of them would probably be like just like this long range goal I've had, or like when my team, we all got reunited because we thought we were like forever done. And then we got to go to Hawaii and go to regionals, and we like performed very well, and it was just a great time.
Now, from like all your highlights, like what's the furthest goal you've ever made? You know?
There was one goal for like high school season. We were like, it was like usually from this range you would send like a free kick and then like let everyone else like fight for it and try to score. But then one day my coach was just like, go for it. And I was like, are you serious? So then like I shot it, and then sure enough it went right over the goalie, and then that was about 38 yards out.
So do you plan on playing any sports at the next level?
Yes, actually I've committed to Cal State LA to play soccer for them.
Any secrets to being like a successful soccer player? Because you obviously are really successful and you've broken some records. Like what would be your tips, basically?
I've always like just like went out there and tried my best. But then one day my college coach actually, he told me like, play every game like it's your last. Because you never, like, even if it's like a new team or a team you've been with for so long, you just create like great bonds with them to the point where like, I don't want to leave this team, even though for some of us we have the next level, just gonna make a new team, but like, you never want to leave.
Now, have you like played on multiple teams, or like how many teams have you like played on?
When I was younger, we were just like playing rec, so it was like every season was a new team. But then when I got older, when I like committed to it, we got onto club teams. So usually you stay with that team all the way until you like grow out of it. But then in high school, you have your own season for with like the high school team. So I guess I'm with like 2 different teams now.
So I know playing so many different sports for you, every sport has impacted your life in a different way. But how do you think soccer has impacted your life?
Soccer has impacted my life like drastically. I've met so many great people and like coaches and players, and like some of their parents are like just like taking me under their wings, and definitely just like changed my life for the better.
Do you have like a goal in mind, I guess, pun not intended? Like, do you have a goal in mind, like an end goal eventually, you know, for your soccer career?
I think every person that plays sports just like wants to get to that next level of like college, and some even get to go on to like national teams. So like everyone has a goal of just getting there.
Okay. Well, anyways, we would like to play some of your highlights and clips that we've gathered throughout. We will go ahead and roll that right now.
Come on, Dad!
want to thank you for being on the show. That was a great goal, 38 yards out. That one track, catching that girl last minute.
Oh.
I wish I could do that. I wish I was that fast.
Anyways, yes, thank you for joining us today, Destiny. As for EC Spectrum, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to EC Spectrum. Here we have with us Kenda Rauscher. So Kenda, can you tell me a little bit about what this initiative is?
So the Mental Health Initiative is a student activist group based at El Camino High School, which is trying to advocate for better mental health resources in our schools.
And how did this initiative come to be about? How was it?
So the initiative actually began 2 years ago in response to a student at El Camino committing suicide. And through the years, we've tried to keep the movement going through a lot of passionate students who have come out to try to actually get legislation passed and make changes to our district.
So what support or resources are available at the school right now?
So that's a good question. Currently, we have our guidance counselors as our primary source of support. And as all El Camino students know, they can be very busy. We also, little known fact, have 2 on-campus psychologists at El Camino. But the reason that most students probably don't know them is because their caseload is primarily with special education students. We also have several counseling groups, such as Alateens, a grief group, and PASS, which they target students who are dealing with the loss of a loved one, are dealing with alcoholism in their lives, or are identified to be gang affiliated or have discipline issues. So I'd recommend any students who are listening right now, if you think that you fall into one of those categories, to please talk to your counselor about joining one of those groups. And if you feel like you don't fall into one of those categories, but you could still use some support, well, that's what the initiative is trying to improve on.
Now, we've talked about some of the core values of your initiative, but I want to ask, why have you yourself joined?
So I think that with all of us, mental health hits a little close to home, whether it's dealing with mental health issues personally or with loved ones or people that you know, their mental health issues affecting you. We all came into the initiative trying to stand up for those people and ourselves and benefit everyone in the district.
So speaking of that, what is on the horizon? Where are you guys headed to next?
So our #1 goal is to hire a social worker on both high school campuses. So we recently presented at the board meeting, I think last Tuesday, and we're going to be continuing to increase that support. We're trying to make allies in the community, whether it be local businesses. We're going to the parent forum meeting for the district in May. And we're just trying to gain more support, put more pressure on the district to actually make a change for next year, because we really, really need it.
Okay. And how would people be able to get in touch with you guys? Or where can we find you guys, basically?
#1 contact, I would say, is through our Instagram page at echs.mhi. And you can contact us through there or follow to check out our events. We also have a petition on there you could sign, which is to help us gain support. Or it also says we meet Tuesdays at lunch in F407, and everyone's welcome. We always welcome new ideas.
So based on that last question I asked you, you said that you guys want to hire social workers on both high school campuses. What high school campuses are you speaking about?
So that would be El Camino and Oceanside high schools.
Okay. Are there any projects that your initiative is currently working on right now to help put this movement more forward out there?
So our big projects have actually been completed this past week, which were our presentation at the board meeting and our huge petition where we got a bunch of local businesses to sign on to support the initiative. And currently, I think our next project would be being able to present at that parent forum, because we know those people are very influential in the LPAC plan that is the funding that the district is going to be putting into like for the budget next year. And since we want more money to be put into mental health and hiring a social worker, we know that those parents are going to be influential in helping that happen.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kendra. Do you have any closing remarks, Valerie?
No, I do not.
No? Okay. Well, sweet. Before we close, we would like to thank KOCT for the wonderful opportunity of hosting our show today. As for the audience, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been another installment of ECU Spectrum. Join us again next year for our annual tradition.
This program is brought to you by the City of Oceanside.